Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Vijay Giritori, and in today's video I'll explain you how to create an EKS cluster manually from AWS console. So we'll be starting completely from scratch. Like first we are going to set up networking by creating VPC, subnets, internet gateways, route tables, and once the networking setup is ready we are going to create EKS cluster within the same VPC and subnets. Okay, so here you can see this is my AWS management console. So first let's create a networking setup. So let me open this VPC in a new tab, and initially first we need to create a VPC. So directly select here your VPCs. So here currently we have only two different VPCs. One is default VPC and one is test VPC. So which I have created previously. So now let's create a new VPC. So directly select here create VPC, and here name of the VPC I'm going to create EKS VPC. And now here IPv4 CIDR block for VPC I'm going to provide 10.0.0.0/16. So this is the IPv4 CIDR I'm going to provide, and directly select here create VPC. So now we need to create a subnets inside this VPC. So directly select here subnets and create subnet. And here it is asking under which VPC you want to create the subnet. It is asking. So I want to create it under EKS VPC. So directly select here EKS VPC. Now here subnet settings. So initially we need to give the name of the subnet, EKS-subnet1. So let me give like this. So this is the subnet name. I'm going to copy this, and here availability zone I'm going to select US East 1A, and this is the VPC CIDR which we have given previously. So now we need to provide subnet CIDR which is 10.0.0.0/24. I'm going to create with 256 IP addresses. Okay, and now I'm going to create secondary subnet under this VPC. So directly select here add new subnet, and here we need to provide the name of the subnet which is EKS subnet 2, and availability zone I'm going to select US East 1B, and here this is the VPC CIDR. So now we need to provide subnet CIDR which is 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, so this subnet also will be created with 256 IP addresses. Okay, so directly select here create subnet. So now both the subnets are created under EKS VPC. So now we need to create an internet gateway, and we need to attach that internet gateway to our VPC. So directly select here internet gateways, and directly select here create internet gateway, and here EKS-IGW. Okay, EKS internet gateway, and create internet gateway and attach to VPC, and directly select your EKS VPC. Okay, so now this internet gateway will be attached to this VPC. Okay, attach internet gateway. Okay, here you can see status has changed to attached, and it is attached to this EKS VPC. So now we need to create route table. So create route table, and here let me give the name like EKS-RT route table, and here we need to select VPC. Under which VPC you want to create this route table, it is asking. So I want to create under EKS VPC, and directly select a create route table. So now route table has been created under EKS VPC. So now we need to associate our subnets with this route table. So directly select here subnet associations, and select edit subnet associations, and select your two subnets, and directly select here save associations. Okay, so now both the subnets will be associated with this route table. Here you can see. So now we need to update routes. So directly select here routes, edit routes, add route, and here 0.0.0.0. Okay, and through internet gateway I'm going to provide internet access for this route table. Okay, so directly select here save changes. So now entire networking setup is ready. So let me select here subnets, and this is the EKS subnet 1. Let me select this, and I'm going to enable IPv4 address for this subnets. Okay, I'm going to enable this. Similarly, I'm going to perform for EKS subnet 2 actions, edit subnet settings, enable authorization public IPv4 address, and save. Okay, now entire networking setup is ready. So now we need to create an EKS cluster within the same VPC and subnets. Okay, so now let me open this EKS in a new tab. So directly select here clusters. So here you can see currently we don't have a single EKS cluster. So let me create a new EKS cluster. So directly select here create cluster. And in previous video, I already explained you how to create an EKS cluster in auto mode. But in today's video, we are going to create in custom configuration. Okay, so directly select here custom configuration. So now here EKS auto mode, I'm going to disable this. Okay. Now here we need to provide the name of the cluster. So let me provide name like my EKS cluster. Okay. So here you can give the name whatever you want. So I'm going to provide this name, which is my EKS cluster. So after that we need to create an IAM role for this EKS cluster. We need to provide that IAM role for this EKS cluster. So currently here you can see we don't have even single IAM role for this EKS cluster. Okay. So let me create a role for this EKS cluster. So directly open IAM in a new tab, or else here directly search for IAM. Okay. So you can directly open this. Okay. So let me open this. Directly jump onto roles. Okay. So here you need to create a role and you need to attach that role to this EKS cluster. Okay. So directly select here create role, and here trusted entity type you need to select AWS services, and here use case you need to select EKS. Okay. Directly select this, and here you need to select EKS cluster. So right now we are going to create IAM role for EKS cluster, right? So that's why here you need to select EKS cluster and directly select next, and automatically it will populate this policy, which is Amazon EKS cluster policy. So now we need to attach this policy to this IAM role, and we need to attach that IAM role to our EKS cluster. Okay. So directly select next, and here role name AWS EKS cluster role. Okay. So this is the name I'm giving, and let's come down and directly select here create. Before creating this, here you can see we are going to attach this policy Amazon EKS cluster policy. Okay. For our EKS cluster, directly select here create role. So now a role will be created. So here you can see AWS EKS cluster role. So this is the role we created, and let me show you the permissions. So Amazon EKS cluster policy. So this is the policy we attached for this IAM role. Okay. So now let's come here and let's refresh this. Okay. And rightly drop down this. Here you can see AWS EKS cluster role. So you need to select this role. Okay. Now here Kubernetes version settings. So when it comes to Kubernetes version, I'm going with 1.32. So this is the latest version, or else if you want to go with some older versions, you can directly select your versions according to your need. Okay. So currently I'm going with 1.32, and upgrade policy I'm going with standard. And here cluster access I'm going with yellow cluster administrator access, and cluster authentication mode I'm going with EKS API. Okay. So now I'm going to leave this by default and directly select here next. Now this is the main thing. So networking. So previously we set up entire networking like VPC, subnets, internet gateways, routables, right? So now I'm going to create this EKS cluster under that VPC. That means let me open this VPC. So now I'm going to create this EKS cluster under this EKS VPC. So directly drop down this, and here you need to select EKS VPC. Under EKS VPC we created two subnets, right? So that's why automatically it is taking two subnets. By default, when you are creating EKS cluster, two subnets will should be mandatory, guys. Okay. That point you need to remember. So now here we need to select security group. So by default we have only default security group, right? So now let's create a security group under our EKS VPC. So directly come to VPC dashboard and directly select under security, you can select security group. So open the security groups, and here directly select create security group. And now first initially we need to give the security group name EKS-SG. Now here description EKS-SG, and here VPC, under which VPC you want to create this security group, it is asking. So I want to create it under EKS VPC. So directly select here EKS VPC, and here inbound rules add rule, and here let me provide all traffic, and here anywhere from IPv4. Okay. So I'm going to provide all traffic, and here also anywhere from IPv4. Okay. And directly select create security group. So now a security group will be created under this VPC, which is EKS VPC. So this is our VPC ID, guys. Okay. So now let's come to EKS dashboard and let's refresh this. Okay. So now drop down this, and here you can see EKS SG security group. Okay. So now here choose cluster IP address family, which is IPv4. We need to select here IPv4, and cluster endpoint access I'm going with public and private. Okay. So directly select here next. Now when it comes to observability, I'm not going to enable Prometheus or CloudWatch or anything. So in next videos I will explain you this entire setup. Okay. So now I'm going to leave this by default. So directly select here next, and add-ons. So this is the AWS add-ons. By default, it is selecting node monitoring agent, Amazon VPC CNI, Q proxy, and core DNS. And it is automatically selecting Amazon EKS pod identity agent. Okay, so if you don't want this add-ons, you can directly uncheck this. Okay, so if you want this, you can directly select this. Here you can say Amazon CloudWatch observability, or else if you want some storage type of add-ons, here you can directly select EBS CSI drivers. Let me show you that. Where is this? So here you can see EFS CSI driver. So this is the one of the storage driver, and EBS CSI driver. We need to see that one also. Here you can see Amazon EBS CSI driver. Okay, so if you want to attach some PV and PVC to your Kubernetes pods, you need to install this add-on, which is Amazon EBS CSI driver. Okay, so I'm going to select this. Okay, so here you can see we have so many add-ons like Site Manager, Prometheus Node Exporter, and the Cube State Metrics. You can and metric server. We have so many add-ons. Okay, so here you can select according to your wish. Okay, so now I'm not going to select any of these marketplace things. So directly select next. So now here you can see configure selected add-on settings. So currently we selected all these add-ons, right? So if you want to select some specific version for this add-ons, for example, if node monitoring agent, if you want to select some specific version, you can directly drop down this and you can directly select the specific version. Okay. So similarly for Amazon VPC CNI, we have so many versions. You can select according to your wish. Similarly for external DNS, we have so many versions. You can select according to your wish. Okay. So similarly for Q proxy, core DNS, and metric server, and we have uh, so many versions. Okay, you can select according to your wish. So after completing this, come down and directly select next. So I'm going with the default versions. Okay, which is provided by AWS EKS itself. Okay, so directly select next, and here this is the final step, review and create. So here you can see in step 1 cluster. So this is the cluster configuration we have selected. So name of the cluster we have selected my EKS cluster, and Kubernetes version we selected 1.32, and EKS mode we disabled this. Okay, and upgrade policy we have selected standard, and Kubernetes cluster administrator access we have selected allow cluster administrator access. So this is the IAM role we selected for this EKS cluster, and authentication mode we selected EKS API. Okay, so now when it comes to networking, so previously we created our custom VPC like EKS VPC, right? So this is the VPC ID, and these are the two subnets IDs. Okay, and this is the security group ID, and the cluster IP address family is IPv4. Okay, and when it comes to cluster endpoint access, we have enabled public and private. Okay, so now when it comes to observability, we haven't enabled any of the observability. Okay, and when it comes to add-ons, we selected all these add-ons, which is AWS EBS ESI driver, EFS ESI driver, core DNS, EKS node monitoring agent, EKS pod identity agent, external DNS, Q proxy, metric server, VPC CNI. Okay, we selected all these add-ons, which is provided by AWS. Okay, so you can select all the add-ons versions here. You can see versions. Okay, so these are all the add-ons, and this add-ons versions is this one. Okay, you can check everything from here and directly select here create. Okay, so now EKS cluster will be created. Let me come here. So here you can see currently it is in creating states. Now it takes nearly 5 to 10 minutes to create this EKS cluster. Okay, so let's wait for that time. So I will be back once it is in running state. Okay, and here you can see our cluster has came to add to state after 10 minutes. So here you can see it takes nearly 10 minutes to create only this EKS cluster. Okay, so here you can see it created with Kubernetes version 1.32 and provided is EKS. Okay, so in overview you can find all the details, which is API server endpoint and OpenID connect provider URL, and it is created in last 10 minutes ago, and this is the cluster ARN, and this is the platform version, and this is the cluster IAM role. So previously we created AWS EKS cluster role, right? So this is the IAM role, and this is the certificate authority. Okay, so now we need to create a node group inside this EKS cluster. So directly jump onto compute. Now here directly select add node group. Okay, so you need to select this. So initially you need to give the node group name. So let me provide node group name like my node group, or else let me provide like EKS node group. Okay. Now here we need to provide IAM role for this node group. Okay. So now let me open IAM in a new tab. So directly select here roles and directly select here create role. So now we are going to create an IAM role for our node group, EKS node group. Okay. So directly come here and use case. Here you need to select EC2. Okay. So directly select this EC2. Now directly select next. And here we need to select three different policies. One is Amazon EC2 container registry read only, and the second thing is Amazon EKS CNI policy, and the third policy is Amazon EKS worker node policy. Okay, you need to attach these three policies to this IAM role. So let me search for Amazon EC2 container registry read only. Okay, so this is the first policy we need to attach, and the second policy is Amazon EKS CNI policy. Okay, EKS CNI policy. So this is the second policy, and the third policy is Amazon EKS worker node policy. Okay, EKS worker node policy. Okay, so this is the policy. You need to attach these three policies to this IAM role. Okay, so directly select next, and here let me provide role name like EKS node group role. Okay, so this is the role name I'm going to provide. So this is the three roles we need to attach for this IAM role, which is Amazon EC2 container registry read only, Amazon EKS CNI policy, Amazon EKS worker node policy. Okay, so directly select here create role. So now a role will be created. Here you can see EKS node group role. So directly open this role, and let me show you the permission. So here you can see Amazon EC2 container registry read only, Amazon EKS CNI policy, Amazon EKS worker node policy. Okay, so we are going to we attached these three policies to this IAM role, which is EKS node group role. So now we need to attach this IAM role to our EKS node group. Okay, so just refresh this and directly drop down this, and here you can see EKS node group role. So directly you can select this node group role. So directly come down and directly select here next. Now here we need to set up compute and scaling configuration for node group. Okay, so here AMI type I'm going with Amazon Linux 2023, and capacity type I'm going with on demand, and when it comes to instance type I'm going with T3 medium. It comes with the 2 CPUs and 4 GB of memory. And here if you want to go with some higher instance types, you can select according to your wish. Okay, so here we have so many instance types, you can go with according to your wish. So currently for video purpose I'm going with the T3 medium. So this is the basic thing, and the disk size I'm going with 20 GB. So this is the default storage 20 GB. Okay, I'm going with this one. When it comes to node group scaling configuration, I'm going with the desired size, which is 2, and minimum size I'm going with 2, maximum size I'm going with 2. Okay, so here you can select according to your wish. So if you want to create with 3 node or 4 node Kubernetes cluster, you need to select desired at 4, and here minimum is 4 and maximum is you can select up to 5, 6 or 7. That is up to your wish. Okay, so right now I'm going with 2 node Kubernetes cluster, so directly select here 2. Okay, so now node group update configuration I'm going with number and value is 1. Okay, I'm going with this default. Now if you want to enable this node auto repair configuration, you can directly enable this. Okay, so currently I'm going to disable this and directly select next, or else if you enable this there is no problem guys. Okay, you can directly enable this, there is nothing problem. So directly select next. Now when comes to node group networking configuration, it is taking these two subnets. So previously we created our EKS VPC, right? Let me open this. Under this VPC we created two subnets, right? Let me open this resource map, and here you can see under this we created two subnets, right? So it is taking this two subnets. Okay, so directly select here next. So here you can review all your configuration. So when it comes to node group, we have given this name EKS node group, and this is the IAM role we created and we attached it for this node group. Okay, so remaining we haven't provided anything. When it comes to compute node group compute configuration, we selected capacity type as on demand and instance type we selected T3 medium, and disk size we selected 20 GB, so this is the minimum. And AMI type we selected Amazon Linux 2023. And node group scaling configuration we are going to create with the 2 node Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so this is the basic details we have given. And directly come down and we enabled auto node repair, and this is the networking setup. That means we selected these 2 subnets. Okay, these are the configuration we provided for our node group. So directly select here create. So let me show you this. So here you can see currently our node group, it is in creating state. So it takes nearly 3 to 5 minutes to create this node group. So meanwhile, let's create an EC2 instance to connect to this EKS cluster. Okay, so directly come here and select EC2, or else you can directly in search bar you can directly search for EC2. Okay, so directly select instances and directly select here launch instance. Now here we need to give the name of the instance, EKS hyphen instance. So this is the name I'm giving. And now OS I'm going with Ubuntu, and here instance type I'm going with T2 medium, or else T2 micro is also enough, guys. There is no problem. Okay, so I'm going with proceed without a key pair. So I'm not going to create any of the key pair for this instance. So because I'm going to connect from this cloud cell itself. Okay. And when it comes to networking, so previously I created this EKS VPC, right? So I'm going to create under this EKS VPC, and I'm going to create under this subnet. Okay, so directly select here EKS VPC, and here I'm going to automatically select this EKS subnet one, and automatically it is enabling this automation public IP address. So you need to, if it is in disable mode, we need to enable this. Okay, so now when it comes to security group, so I'm going to select that EKS security group. So when it comes to storage, I'm going with 10 GB, or else 8 GB is also no problem. Okay, so directly select here launch instance, and directly select here instances, refresh this. So here you can see both the nodes has been created. So let me come here and let me refresh this. Let me select your clusters and directly select your cluster and directly select compute. So here you can see our node group is currently it is in creating state, but both nodes are in ready state. Okay, so nodes are nothing but EC2 instances, guys. Here you can see these are the 2 nodes. Okay, so now we created this EC2 instance. So now let's connect to this EC2 instance. Directly select this and connect, and directly select connect. So instead of this, if you want to connect using some another terminals like mobile xterm or putty, you can directly create a key pair, and using that key pair you can directly connect to this EC2 instances. Okay, so let's wait, it is trying to connect. So here you can see successfully it is connected. So let me clear this thing. So initially we need to update this virtual machine by hitting sudo apt update -y. So it will update this EC2 instance. And now let me hit sudo su to become root user. Okay, so now we are in root user. So now we need to install AWS CLI and kubectl inside this EC2 instance to connect to our EKS cluster, guys. Okay, so directly come here, and here I have commands to install AWS CLI and kubectl. So let me copy this and let me come here and let me paste it here. So these commands are used to install uh, AWS CLI. Okay, so it is failing to install unzip package. Let me install manually. Apt install unzip -y. So it will install unzip package. Now let me paste it here and let me hit enter. So it will install AWS CLI inside this EC2 instance. So if you don't know from where to get this AWS CLI and kubectl commands, sorry, scripts to install, you can directly install AWS CLI on Ubuntu. Okay, you can directly search like this and directly open this first link. So it will redirect to AWS official documentations, and directly select your Linux. And here you can see same, I just copied it from here. So similarly you can find this three. Okay, So I just added this command. Okay, so here you can find this. So now if you want to install kubectl, so let me check this. So still it is in installing state. So similarly, if you want to install kubectl, directly close this and here search for install kubectl on Ubuntu. Okay, so open this first link, and from here you can see, from here you can copy all these commands and you can install kubectl. Okay, so similarly I just copied all these commands. Okay, so this is how you can get all these from official documentations itself. So let's wait, still it is in installing state. So here you can see successfully AWS CLI has been installed. So let me hit AWS hyphen version. So here you can see this is the AWS CLI version. So now let me try to install Helm, sorry, kubectl. Directly copy this kubectl and paste it here. So it will install kubectl inside this EC2 instance. Now here kubectl version hyphen client. So this is the command to see kubectl version, kubectl version hyphen client. Okay, so here you can see this is the kubectl version. Now we need to provide AWS IAM access key and secret key inside this EC2 instance by hitting AWS configure. Okay, now let me hit AWS configure, and here we need to create AWS IAM access keys and secret keys, and we need to provide that here. Okay, so now let me select this, or else I think already we have, or else okay, no problem, directly select here IAM. Okay, already we have here, okay, no problem, and directly select here users. So currently I am Vijay user, so directly I am going to select this Vijay, and here security credentials, and here we need to create an access key. So currently I'm going to delete this access key. So first we need to deactivate this, need to copy this, paste it here and delete. So now let me create a new access key. So directly select here create access key, and here you need to select CLI and directly select this and directly select next and directly select create access key. Okay, so here you can see this is the access key and this is the secret access key. So directly copy this access key, come here and paste it here and enter. So now we need to copy secret access key. So this is the secret access key, copy, paste it here and enter. So here you need to provide region. So currently I created my EKS cluster on US East 1, which is North Virginia. So here we need to select US-East-1, select enter and enter. Okay, so now let's test this AWS S3 LS. It needs to display all the buckets. Okay, so here you can see it is displaying my S3 buckets. So successfully it is connected with my AWS account. Okay, so now let me clear the screen. Now let's come here and let's see whether currently it isn't creating, right? So let me refresh this. So here you can see state has been changed to add to. So now our node group also is in add to state. So now let's try to connect to this EKS cluster. Okay, so now let me come here, and this is the command to connect to EKS cluster. Meanwhile, if you want to install Helm, you can directly copy this and you can directly paste it here. So this is optional, guys. Helm is not necessary. Okay, so let's wait, it is installing, and let's clear this and Helm version. So here you can see this is the Helm version 3.18.0. So now this is the command to connect to EKS cluster, AWS EKS hyphen region. So here you need to update your region. So in my case it is US East 1. So here I need to update US East 1, update hyphen kube config hyphen name. Here we need to provide our EKS cluster name. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Now here let me provide US East 1, US hyphen East hyphen 1. Now here update hyphen kube config, and here we need to provide my EKS cluster. Okay, so this is the name of the cluster. So let me open this. So here you can see my EKS cluster. So this is the name we have given. So similarly you need to provide that name here and directly select here enter. So now successfully it will be connected to our EKS cluster. So currently we created with the 2 node Kubernetes cluster, right? So in compute here you can see we have 2 nodes. So if you want to display the 2 nodes, kubectl get nodes. So here you can see two nodes. So these are the two nodes. If you want to see the detailed information, kubectl get nodes hyphen o white. Okay, so here you can see you can get entire version. Now let me run some sample pod. Kubectl run my pod hyphen hyphen image equal to nginx. Okay, so it will run a pod with nginx image. So let's wait, it got stuck. So now here you can see it is showing created. Now kubectl get pods, so it will display an nginx pod. So here you can see currently it is created and it is running state. So now if you want to delete this pod, kubectl delete pod and my pod. Okay, so pod will be deleted. Now kubectl get pods, so currently we don't have even single pod. So now if you want to get this pod YAML, you can directly open this and here directly search for kubernetes.io. It will redirect to official documentation and here search for pod. Okay, and here open this first link and here you can see this is the pod YAML. API version is v1, kind is pod, metadata, and this is the pod name nginx, and container name it is nginx, and image it is taking nginx 1.14.2 and container port it is 80. Okay, so let me copy this and let me come here and vim pod.yaml, hit enter, keep in insert mode and paste that content here. Okay, so currently we are going to create a pod with image nginx. Okay, so this is the name of the pod. So if you want to change this name to instead of nginx, let me provide nginx pod. Okay, let me save this. So here you can see nginx is running on container port 88. So this is the port. Let me save this. Now kubectl apply hyphen f pod.ml. So now here you can see a pod has been created. Kubectl get pods, so it will display all the pods. So here you can see this is the pod. Now kubectl describe pod, which is nginx pod. Okay, so let's wait, it is tracking. So here you can see when I hit kubectl describe pod name, let me show you that. Is this? So here you can see kubectl describe pod name. It has displayed entire things like in events you can see successfully assigned in default names, which is nginx pod. This is the pod name to this node. Okay, so pulling image nginx 1.14.2 and successfully pulled image and container has been created and container has started nginx. Okay, so in events you can find everything, and this is the container ID and this is the image we used for this pod and this is the image ID. Okay, so this is the IP. Now let me clear the screen. Now kubectl get pods. So ETL get pods hyphen o wide. Okay. Now if you want to check the pod logs, you can directly hit kubectl logs and here pod name which is nginx pod. Okay. So currently we don't have any logs, so that's why it is not displaying anything. So or else if you want to check live logs, kubectl logs hyphen f pod name. Okay, so it will display live log. So currently we don't have a single log. Okay, so let me clear this and let me delete this entire pod. Kubectl delete hyphen f pod.yaml. Okay, so now kubectl get pods, we don't have even single pod. Okay, so now let me create a deployment and service, which is first let me create a file which is deploy.yaml and keep this in insert mode, and I'll copy this. Okay, and I'll come here and I'll paste it here. Okay, so initially we are going to create a deployment. So after creating deployment we are going to create a service. So here you can see API version app slash v1 and kind is deployment, and this is the metadata. And for this deployment we have given name as nginx deployment, and we are going to create with 3 replicas, and this is the match labels we have given nginx, and this is the container name which is my container, and here also we are going to create with nginx colon latest image. Okay, and this is the service we are going to create. Okay, so now if you want to get this YAML file from official documentations, you can directly come here and here search for deployment, and open this first link and directly come down. So here you can see this is the deployment YAML, API version app/v1 kindest deployment, and this is the deployment name, and these are the labels, and replicas is 3, and this is the container name, and this is the container image. Okay, Nginx 1.14.2. I just copied from here and I just pasted it here, guys. Okay, so same deployment. So if you want this service, you can directly come here and directly search for service. So now here open this first link, and here you can see this is the service YAML. I just copied it from here and I just pasted it here and I just modified to node port. Okay, so currently we are going to create a service with type node port. Okay, so let's come here and let me save this file, and kubectl apply-f deploy.ml. Now it will create a deployment and a service. So you can see a deployment and service has been created. So now let me hit kubectl get deployment. So here you can see Nginx deployment, it is created, and 3 by 3, that means 3 pods are running. Now let me hit kubectl get rs. Rs stands for replica set, guys. Okay, so here you can see Nginx deployment has been created. Why? Because means when we create this, let me open this deployment file first. Let me search for deployment and let me open this first link. So let me come here. So when we create this deployment, we created with replicas 3, right? So that's why this deployment will create a replica set. So this is the replica set. Okay, so here you can see Nginx deployment. So when I hit kubectl get rs or else replica set, it will display our replica set. Continuously we are maintaining 3 pods. Okay, so now when I hit kubectl get pods, it will maintain 3 pods continuously. Here you can see these are the 3 pods. So if I try to delete one pod, automatically replica set will continuously maintain 3 pods. Okay, so you can see kubectl delete pod, and here you need to give the pod name. So let me copy this and let me paste it here and hit enter. So this pod has been deleted. So when I hit kubectl get pods, automatically replica set will maintain 3 replicas. Here you can see 7 seconds ago a new pod has been created. So this is how continuously it will maintain 3 pods. Okay, so now let me hit services, kubectl get service. Okay, so here you can see this is the default service which is Kubernetes service, and this is the service we created with service type node port. Okay, so now let's try to access our Nginx page. Okay, so let me copy this node port which is 31633, and first we need to provide this node port on security groups. Okay, so directly select your node and let me uncheck this, select this and select this and directly jump onto security, and this is the security group we are using for that both nodes. Okay, and directly select here edit inbound rules and add rule and custom TCP, and here we need to provide that node port 31633. Here you can see this is the node port we need to provide in security groups. Okay, and here anywhere from IPv4 and directly select here save. Now directly select instances and directly copy node IP. Okay, node public IP address. So copy this and come here, and here http :// with public IP with node port 31633. Okay, colon 31633 and hit enter. So here you can see welcome to Nginx page we are seeing. Okay, so you need to provide this node port on security group. Okay, so if you are going to create with service type load balancer, automatically a load application load balancer will be created in AWS cloud. So using that application load balancer DNS name, you can directly access here. Okay, so and yes, so mostly in this video I just try to explain you how to create EKS cluster manually. Okay, so now I will explain you how to delete this entire EKS cluster. So okay, after completing your labs and practice, try to delete entire resources. Okay, because AWS will charge some of the amount from you. So now if you are trying to delete this EKS cluster, initially first you need to delete node group. Okay, so directly jump on to compute and select this node group and directly select delete, and here you need to copy this node group name and come here and paste it here and select here delete. Okay, so now here you can see currently it is in deleting state. So now this node group takes nearly 3 to 5 minutes to delete this, guys. Okay, so we need to wait for that time. So I will be back when once it is deleted. Okay, so here you can see after 5 minutes our node group has been deleted successfully. So now let me delete this EKS cluster. So directly select this cluster and delete, and here you need to provide the name of the EKS cluster. Copy this name and come here and paste it here and select delete. Okay, so now this EKS cluster will delete in 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so meanwhile I will close this and I will come here and I will delete this EC2 instance. Okay, so here you can see both the nodes are deleted. So now I'm going to delete this EKS instance. Terminate and terminate. Okay, so now this instance also will be deleted. Okay, so let's come here and currently it is in deleting state. Okay, so and yes, that's it for today's video, and if you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys, and see you in the next video, and bye.